Have you ever heard your name being called, even though you knew no one was there? Not imagined it, not mistaken it for something else, but clearly heard it. Now imagine this. You hear your name, you answer back, and the voice that replies is your own, but it's coming from an empty room. This isn't a story about a traditional ghost. There are no rattling chains or cold hands grabbing ankles in the dark. This is about something far worse, something that knows your voice, remembers your thoughts, and waits patiently for you to answer. This is the story of a man who heard himself calling from a place where no one existed, and once it started, it never truly stopped. Ethan lived alone, not the creepy kind of alone, the quiet, comfortable kind. A small second-floor apartment, old building, thin walls, the kind of place where you hear your neighbors cough, doors creak at night, and pipes groan like they're alive. One night, just after midnight, Ethan was lying in bed scrolling through his phone when he heard it. A voice, clear, calm. "Ethan?" He froze. The voice wasn't loud. It wasn't distant. It sounded like someone standing just outside his bedroom door. "Yeah," he answered without thinking. Silence. No footsteps. No movement. Just the hum of the refrigerator somewhere down the hall. At first, he laughed it off. Old buildings make strange noises. Your brain fills in gaps when you're tired. But then a thought settled in his chest. The voice didn't sound like a neighbor. It didn't sound unfamiliar. It sounded exactly like him. Same tone, same pacing, same slight rasp he always hated hearing in recordings. That was the moment the laughter stopped. 2 nights later, it happened again. Ethan was in the kitchen rinsing a glass when he heard his voice coming from the spare room. "Ethan, come here." The spare room was empty. No furniture, no electronics, just bare walls and old carpet. Still, he walked toward it. The voice didn't sound threatening. It sounded urgent, almost concerned. He stood in the doorway and flipped on the light. Nothing. The room was exactly how he left it. Then, from inside the room, the voice spoke again. "I'm right here." Ethan's mouth opened to respond, and the voice spoke at the exact same moment, perfectly timed, perfectly synchronized, like an echo that arrived before the sound. He stepped back, heart pounding, palms sweating. He didn't sleep that night. The next morning, he checked everything. Neighbors, vents, old recordings on his phone. There was no explanation. But the voice knew his routines, knew where he'd be, knew when to speak. That's when curiosity started turning into fear. So Ethan decided to test it. That night, he placed his phone in the hallway and hit record. He sat silently in his bedroom, lights off, barely breathing. Minutes passed. Then the recording picked it up. "Ethan," he didn't respond. "I know you're awake." His stomach dropped. "I sound strange, don't I?" The voice continued, calm and thoughtful. "You never liked your voice. You always thought it made you sound weak." Ethan felt cold all over. Those were thoughts, private thoughts, things he'd never said out loud. The voice wasn't copying him anymore. It was studying him. Then it said something that made his hands shake. "Tomorrow, I'll try your face." The recording ended. No distortion, no static, just silence. Ethan didn't stay in the apartment that night. He packed a bag and went to stay with a friend across town. Different building, different walls. For a moment, he felt safe, until his friend asked him the next morning, "Why were you standing outside my room last night?" Ethan stared at him. "I didn't leave the couch," he said. His friend hesitated. He said slowly, "You knocked, and you said my name, in my voice." Before Ethan could respond, his phone vibrated. A voicemail. No missed call, just a message. He pressed play. "See?" His own voice said softly, "I'm learning." Ethan understood then. This thing wasn't haunting him. It was practicing, learning to be him. He went back to the apartment one last time. The spare room door was open. The light was on. Inside the room stood a mirror, one that hadn't been there before, and in it was Ethan. But not quite. The reflection smiled before he did, spoke before he could. "You shouldn't have listened." The lights went out. Neighbors later reported hearing 2 identical voices arguing behind closed doors, then only one. When police entered the apartment, they found nothing. No signs of struggle, no broken furniture, just a phone on the floor. floor, recording. The final words captured were barely a whisper. "I hear you, but I'm not sure which one of us is real anymore." Ethan was never found, and even now, residents of that building say they sometimes hear a man calling his own name from the spare room. So if you ever hear your voice calling you when you're alone, maybe don't answer, because some things only exist once you acknowledge them, and once they learn your voice, they don't need you anymore.